about a year and a half ago, as this work was beginning to really take off, we started doing meetings with young people where they would come in and there would be small conversation in that corner of the room one day. And then next week, there'd be a small conversation in this corner of the room. And it was all about the violence that was taking place in the community that we lived in. The city of Oakland was going through a rash of homicides. And it seemed like every other day and every other week we were going to a funeral or a vigil. And there were young people in my community who wear these, this shirt like this one here, this white shirt. It's a memorial t-shirt. This young man actually, Daron Brewer, he died inside of California youth prisons. And his family does a march every year in November. But there were young people who had enough t-shirts they could go 7 days wearing a different memorial tee for somebody who was killed in their community. And finally, one of our members, who had a son and a daughter inside of California youth prisons, she had another son, her youngest son, who was out, was killed in the streets of Oakland. And that's when our organizers and our youth members decided we had to do something about this. So we launched a campaign called Silence the Violence. And the first thing that Silence the Violence did was a series of vigils around the city of Oakland. We started out, we thought we'd do like 2 or 3. So we put out the call, and then people from all over Oakland started calling and saying, we want to do one. We want to do one in our community. And then people from other cities started calling. And this year, actually, I think there's going to be one in Kenya, Africa, and one in Australia somewhere. A Silence the Violence vigil, because people want to just sign up and join on to this campaign. Since we launched the campaign, we've done a series of youth events where we've brought out young people, have social events. They call them functions. They don't call them parties no more. That's not hip, just in case you're wondering. It's called a function. I know that doesn't sound hip, but trust me, it is. So we've had dozens of youth functions with no incidents. We've signed up 15,000 young people last year who took our Silence the Violence play. We've done a series of job fairs. We've helped launch a peacekeeper program in Oakland that one of our attorneys helped pioneer. And the idea was fairly simple, that in the street life, well, how about this? In corporate America, if Dow Chemical and Clorox have some dispute, in general, they don't resolve it by shooting each other. They just hire really fancy attorneys and go to court. Well, if, you know, Putin and Raheem have beef, they can't really go hire an attorney and be like, he didn't pay me back my drug money. It doesn't quite work that way. And if you get the police involved, it goes even poorer. So it radically escalates pretty quickly because there's not some places you can go to sort of work this out. It's a fairly simple contractual dispute. I gave you some stuff, you're supposed to give me some money, you late. What's up, right? You just rework the contract. Or if you have real peacekeepers involved, people who these young people respect, you can have a conversation about, well, what if you all stop dealing dope? What if we got you into a job training program? What if we got you some substance abuse help? What if we got you into a GED program? What if we got you off of couch surfing so you didn't need to be out on the street, but we got you some temporary housing? Would that help? And it turns out that it does. And so this is a model the city's beginning to replicate throughout the city. And we're really proud of that. So we're continuing this work. Actually, we're gearing up for a whole nother series this summer. The summer, as you might know, are some of the most violent times in most cities, where we're going to ramp up and provide even more opportunities for people because of all the budget cuts in California. There's less community services, there's less community centers, there's less basketball opportunities and the like. We want to keep advancing that. But so for us, at the end of the day, this is really, for us at the Elevate Center, about trying to find positive solutions, vision-driven concepts to solve the problems that are facing our community. As we began to look around, particularly our founder, Van Jones, for how to really begin to move into the whole questions of economics, for us, we began to realize that that's a central component to what's happening in our communities. That if there was just more economic viability, we could actually achieve something quite different and get really better outcomes. that the safest communities aren't the communities with the most police or the highest level of people returning home from prison or the highest arrest rate, but it's actually the places with the highest employment rate, the highest continuation on to college, the highest, the best food, cleanest drinking water. Those tend to be the safest communities. So if you want to make a community safe, as opposed to hiring a bunch of people who don't live there to come and police and patrol, how about invest the money in that community? And so as we started looking for models to do that, we started just bumping up against all sorts of problems. For instance, one of the biggest growing industries, or one of the biggest industries in our community are these different chemical plants, factories. There's in Richmond, there's 2 refineries. And we started looking at, well, we have little Johnny on the corner selling dope with his crew. We lock him up and we say, you can't do that, your economic activities hurting your community. And then we let him out, and he goes and he works at the Port of Oakland, and he moves shipping containers from one place to another. And so he sits in a big diesel truck that idles for half of the day, that it's not moving, which release all kind of particulate matter, which increases the asthma epidemic taking place right there in West Oakland. And so what now we have is Johnny in legal activity, but that's harming the community. And we said, okay, that doesn't quite work. And so then we started with this idea of green jobs, not jails. Now, what if we had jobs that actually improve the environment? What if we actually got our folks engaged and involved in stuff that didn't just benefit them, but benefited the world? And so we've started this project that we're calling Green Collar Jobs. And that's what I'm going to spend the rest of my time talking to you about. And I'm going to dive into that a little bit more. The slides will move quicker. It'll be more entertaining. I know we're after dinner. And, you know, the food's weighing on you. Some of us has traveled some distance to get here. But I promise you, this is where it gets kind of entertaining. There's like cliffhangers. There's twists and turns.